The neurotransmitter dopamine is one of several neurotransmitters that help regulate brain function and has a key role in regulating happiness and mental wellness. Understanding the role of dopamine can be very complex, so it is our hopes that the following video will take a simplified look at how dopamine is regulated in order to maintain mental wellness. In this video, we will explore dopamine levels of someone who is maybe experiencing symptoms of depression and compare them to someone who is not experiencing symptoms of depression. And then we will look at how drugs such as marijuana impact both individuals.
All right, this is a quick video to talk about dopamine again, but this time we're going to be looking at it from a perspective of if somebody is experiencing stress or depression, what does it look like? Where is their baseline that is responsible for a neutral mood? All right, so when we look at stress and depression, this is typically somewhere that we try to avoid. All right, our goals from day to day, or one of our main goals, is to avoid pain and suffering. And for many of us, when we wake up in the morning, we are very fortunate that we feel neutral. All right. And as discussed in that previous video, we engage in things like conversation and arts and culture and sports and physical activities to experience wellness, improved mood of 5% increments, happiness of 15% increments, so things like playing a musical instrument, getting an A on a test, and 25% increments with things like working out or playing a sport or engaging in things that require a lot of physical activity. And this is where we live. Unfortunately, some individuals, their baseline looks a little different. Their baseline is not going to necessarily be this neutral wake up. Their baseline, unfortunately, is sometimes that of stress or sadness. So for a person whose baseline is here, they're waking up not feeling neutral. They're waking up feeling sometimes overwhelmed with the day, sometimes overwhelmed with life, relationships, work, etc. And when they engage in a conversation, they notice that it does take some skill and effort. It only lasts a few minutes or seconds. It's only a 5% increase, and it doesn't even get them to baseline. They're still feeling stressed. And they notice, and it only lasts a few seconds. And that slight reduction of stress returns right back down to it, right? And if they engage in academia or art or culture, right, they're going to get about a 15% increase. But off of this baseline, not we'll use this as the standard baseline. I like to avoid the use of the word normal, but this is the standard baseline. All right? So they're putting a lot of effort and skill, and really all they're feeling is just this little kind of tip of the iceberg effect of all that work. That might translate to maybe a 5%. And it returns them, when it wears off and metabolized in a few minutes, it returns them to their lower baseline of stress and feelings of depression. All right. If they work out, if they try real hard, all right, they're going to see a 25% increase, but again, it only lasts a few seconds and it returns to baseline. So when somebody puts through all of this work and effort, and for the majority of the day spent, because remember, this is time, right? This time is going across, all right? So for portions of the day when they don't have somebody to talk to, they don't have access to engaging in something that they enjoy, like hobbies or academics that mean something to them, or sports or art or culture, this is where they are, all right? And so this is where things like psychotropic medications that are prescribed by trained medical personnel, psychiatrists, doctors, when provided with psychotropic medications at a specific titration or dose, it can actually raise this baseline up to a standard or standardized, or if you say normal baseline, all right, to where that person will wake up in the morning feeling perhaps neutral. They might be a little above, they might be just a little below. It depends on the titration. That's when they communicate with their medical provider and ask and report symptoms, and that medical provider can adjust the titration of their recommended medication. And so now we're looking at somebody stabilizing their baseline to where they can recognize these little 5% increases and these 15% increases effectively, and 25, right? So this is great. This is what's called utilizing available, proven behavioral health medications that can improve somebody's life, all right? What worries individuals in our field is self-medication. Because unfortunately, if this person goes undiagnosed and they wake every morning feeling sad, they're human and they simply just want to feel better. And what they discover, unfortunately, a lot of times through various means, especially through predatory commercialism of various corporations right now. The cannabis industry is very, very strong in pushing the belief that you can self-medicate with cannabis. The problem with cannabis, remember from the last video, when somebody uses cannabis, it increases their dopamine levels to 100 to 150%. That lasts for an hour to 2 hours. All right? And when that wears off, it returns them to their baseline of feeling stressed and depressed. The marijuana is not able to set a standard baseline. It's either too high or too low. And the thing with marijuana is when a person continues to chronically use it, it actually brings that person below their already low baseline, which can set that baseline even further. All right. So this is the problem with substance use. All right. There is no proven titration. It's something that goes well beyond the natural levels associated with things that are meaningful in life. Remember, the 5%, right? The 15%, the 25%. The medications that the medical professionals provide you are simply wanting to get you to your baseline. They're not intended to get you high or euphoric, because this drug then becomes the sole desirable outcome for that individual. And these things, just like substance use, become not so important. So that's a little look at how somebody who's experiencing mental health related dopamine level alteration would want to avoid self-medicating. All right. I hope this explains a little in more detail. If there's any questions, please post them below.